Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. You get in the vehicle, turn the key, and it doesn't do anything. It just, you can hear a faint click underneath the hood, but that's about it. So I'm going to show you how to diagnose what the problem is and then how to go about repairing it. This customer here actually thought that his problem was the battery was no good, so he already put a new battery in it. So we are going to bypass the checking of the battery because it's brand new and it does the exact same thing. So we know that the battery is not the culprit. So let's get in there. I'll show you what it does and then how we're going to diagnose it and how we're going to get this job done and out the door. So, all right, let me show you what it does and then we'll continue. Okay, so this is what it's doing. I hope you can hear that. Now the first thing you would normally do, if you have a car that doesn't start like that, the first thing you would do is take a look at your interior light. Now if you turn the key and that interior light goes out, then we know we have a problem with the battery or the cable or something like that. So let's try it and see. You don't see any change in that at all. So we know that the cables are not the issue, and we know that the battery is not the issue. All right, so let's go up underneath the hood and we're going to continue up there. So now what we're going to do now is a couple things you can do. If you have a test light, use a test light. If you don't have a test light, I always use the power probe because you can actually check power and ground at the same time. So we're going to connect these up to the battery itself, and then we're going to go down underneath the car, down by the starter motor while my assistant tries to start it. We're going to see if we have power to the main lead, and also if we have power to the start wire when my assistant tries to start the car. If we have power and we have ground and we have power to the start wire and it's not starting, the start is no good. If we don't have power to the start wire, then we know that there's a problem with the starter switch or relay or whatever. A common problem with these starters too is the wire that leads from the back of the starter, from the main lead coming in. You have the power lead that comes into to the top of the solenoid, and there's a little jumper wire that goes from the solenoid down into the starter itself. Those wires, for some reason, corrode and they rot off, and you know it's an issue right there. But let's take a look at it. We're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's lift it up and we'll continue. But let's connect our power probe up first. Nice about power probe is they actually have a light in there too, so you can see a little bit. All right, let's lift it up and we'll continue up underneath the bottom. Okay, this is going to be a little bit tough to film in here because it's such a tight quarters, but I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do and then you're going to watch me do it. This lead here is the main lead coming down from the battery. We need to check to see if we have power at that lead right there. This lead here is the start side of the starter. That's like a little 8mm or 5/16. We have to check when the key is turned to the start position. We need to see if we have power to that wire right there. If we have power here and we have power here in the start position, then we know that the starter is no good. So all right, so that's what we're going to do now. What I'm going to do is this cover. This is actually the original starter in this car, so we're just going to get this cover off of here. Don't lose it because we're going to put this back on, and you can see already. See how it's oxidized? Remember I was telling you about that wire up there? Let's see what that looks like. Okay. It doesn't matter because the starter's no good anyway, but you see that wire right there? See all that oxidation on there? Those wires frequently break off, and that's the problem right there. So, all right, let's check power and ground first, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to set you up on a tripod and we'll see how you can see it. Remember what I told you, this wire here is the main lead. So if there's power here, then we know that that it has power to the starter, which it does. It's got power there. See? You have power there. All right, now this is the start wire. We should have negative through here. Just get on it. Okay, you can see we have negative right here. It's actually it's green. Green means that there's negative in there, and when it's energized and you try to start it, it should turn red, just like that. All right. So, okay, up there. All right, try it once. Try it again. Okay. Okay, thank you. Turn the key off. Okay, as you can see, it has power and it has ground. This starter is no good. Once we take this out, I'll show you what I mean about that wire up there. It's going to be, it looks like it's actually burnt. See that? Oh yeah, it's broken. But there's a bolt here. It's a 10 millimeter here, up there, and then maybe one more 10 millimeter up on top. But before we do anything, we're going to lower this down and we're going to disconnect the battery. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of what kind of tools you're going to need to complete the job. These we already used already to pop off the cable up on top. The negative cable is disconnected. We're going to use some ratcheting wrenches. It's either going to be 12 or 13 millimeters, the main lead. The small little wire is probably going to be 8 or 10 millimeter. We have a couple of 10 millimeter sockets and extensions, a couple of swivels, a swivel head ratchet, and of course I sprayed up everything really good with penetrating oil because you know it's a little bit oxidized underneath there. So, all right, let me just explain to you what I'm going to do, and then we're going to do it. It's going to be a little hard to film this, but you can see I sprayed it up already. I'm going to take out that bolt right there. I'm going to take out another bolt up on top right there, and I think there's a third one up on top as well that I may have to come in from in the front of the vehicle up this way here to get in there, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to disconnect that lead right there. That's either 12 or 13 millimeter, and this one right here. We're just going to push these out of the way. Now you can see these are a little bit rusty. If they break off, it's no big deal because they're going to be trash anyway. So, all right, let me get started, and I'll try to do the best I can so you can see. All right, first thing we're going to do is going to take off that lead right there. That's the main power lead. Now remember, we have our battery is disconnected. Be careful you don't get any rust or anything in your eyes when you're underneath there working. Like I said, if they're going to break, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. If it breaks off, it'll be fine. Alright, I'm going to take our wire off. I'm just going to put that up out of the way for now. We're going to disconnect this wire right here. That's a 10 millimeter. It feels like it's going to snap. I was wrong. It didn't snap. It came out. Sure felt like it was gonna. Alright, so we're just going to take these wires now. We're just going to relocate them out of the way so that they don't interfere with what we're doing there. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen up that little 10 millimeter. I hope you can see that. I'm not sure. That 10 millimeter right there first we're going to do. Let's reposition you. This one right here, hopefully you can see that. These are usually pretty oxidized. Okay. Alright, that's one. Now the other one up here, we're going to have to get in there with an extension to get to it. Don't know if you can see that, but you see right up in there, you see the socket and the extension are on it. Now I'm going to loosen it up, and we're going to take it off. now we have that one loosened. We're just going to take it out now. Okay. We're going to come in through the front of the car. Let me get it in here first. I'll show you where we're going to go. Okay. That's two. And now we got to get that third one because it's up on the very top, up in there. But I'm actually going to come in right through here in the front. I'm going to snake a ratchet in through there so I can get to it. So, all right, let me do that and then we'll continue. I doubt you're going to be able to see this, but I just want to show it to you. That's where the ratchet goes in from the back of the starter right there, up to that other bolt, which is up here, which you have to go by feel. Like I said, I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but that's how I'm going to get it out. That is the third bolt. As you can see, the starter still doesn't come out. It's rusted in place. That's where this comes in handy, right here. Like that. Okay, that's our starter. Let's go over to the workbench and I want to show you what this looks like here. Okay. All right, remember we talked about that wire that frays all the time? Look at this. It's not all the way through. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, it is all the way through. There it is. That's the wire that's actually broken. And the power comes through the solenoid here. The start side energizes the solenoid to bring power down to here. Power comes through here, right there, and then down into the starter motor. And that's what happened to it. So, all right, let me make a phone call. We'll get the starter and we'll continue. Okay, I just got the starter motor. And I just want to show this to you. You see it? See how this is broken? Look at this one. Look at how thick that is. Right? So this is very common. It happens a lot. All right, but that's it. Oh, and it didn't matter if that other wire broke off anyway because I got to cut it and I got to splice it together or use the heat shrink tubing on it so that we don't have any issues with the start wire. They must have run into a problem with it, so they supply a start wire, and we're going to snip the old one and we're going to crimp it in here, and then we'll heat shrink that tubing. But it's 5:15, and I think we're done for tonight. I think tomorrow's another day, so we'll come back in the morning and we'll wrap this job up. So now we're going to take our starter motor. We are going to take it and stick it back up into the opening right here. We're going to do this stuff here later on, but for now we're just going to get it up into the opening here. Alright, we're just going to leave it sit there for 1 second. And now we're going to catch each one of the three bolts loosely by hand. You can see that I have never seize on there, or anti-seize, whatever you want to call it, because it's actually going to make it go in a little bit easier, because the trans we're screwing into is a little bit oxidized. The main thing is you have to catch them loosely. You can't tighten them in tight yet. If you tighten them tight, then you're going to wind up with it being cocked slightly, and you're not going to be able to get it in properly. So we're going to catch all three. And if you just wiggle the starter up and down at the same time, let's see, get you a little better light there. If you just wiggle the starter up and down, you can actually get it to the bolts to catch a little bit easier. Right, now we have the two of them caught. Now the top one is going to be a little bit tighter, so we're going to be a little more careful with that one. Okay, I just want to point this out to you too. Now, that bolt up on the top, you can't see it. So now you're going to take your socket like this, and you're going to take your bolt like this, and you're going to try to get up there, but you can see the bolt is loose. If you have a magnetic socket, great. If you don't, just take a small piece of paper like that, go over the top of the bolt, and then you put your bolt in like that, and you can see that bolt doesn't fall out. So it makes it a little bit easier so you don't drop it up on the top of the starter and have to play around to get it out. So we're going to put your left hand up to find where the hole is located, and then we're going to bring the bolt over and in and rock the starter. Okay, now we have all three of them caught. I'm going to tighten up the top one first to get it in there as far as I can before I tighten up the other two. Right here, we're going to tighten on the main lead first, just like that. We're going to catch that on by hand. Now this one here, you want to be careful and not tighten it too tight, because if you tighten it too tight, you can break the stud. So we're just going to snug it down a little bit, and then just go a little bit more. And I was holding the wire up on my hand up here just so it doesn't rotate. Let me see if I can get it. See, I just hold this wire right here while I tighten that bolt just so it doesn't rotate. Now this, we are going to cut this and splice it together. So let me get my cutting pliers and we'll do that. Alright, so we are going to snip this end right here. Just like that. We're going to strip back our wires a little bit. And you can strip it back any way you want to. I'm just going to cut the tape off. Alright, so you have a good exposed piece of wire right here now. And you're going to take it and twist it. Like that. Put it in here. Like this. Make sure it goes in all the way. And then we're going to take our crimpers and we're going to crimp that wire in place. Just like that. Make sure it's a good tight connection. And then we're going to get our heat gun. We're going to heat this up a little bit. You can see the heat shrink tubing shrinks down and causes a good seal on it, so that's it. Alright, so let's just go over what we did, and then we're going to open up, and then once we open up we'll come back in and we'll put the battery back on and get it started. Okay, so we made sure that all three of our bolts here are tight. We connected on our main lead right here, and we made sure the main lead is not touching anywhere up inside here. This is our new start wire. It's crimped and heat shrink back together, and that's it. So let's lower it down, connect the battery up, and start it up. Now, as I told you, this battery is brand new, so if you had any oxidation at this point, you would want to clean it up. But as you can see, this one here is in good condition. I'm just going to tighten it up. That's it, you're all set. All right, this job is finished, out the door. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.